Christos Papadopoulos.
Why you gotta say it like this?
My name is Christos Papadopoulos, goddammit. Nice to meet you.
Where were you born? Were you born here or somewhere else?
No, I was born in Denville, New Jersey. Yes.
Wow.
Do I know anything about that place? No.
Nothing.
Yes.
Did you guys leave from there when you first came, or it was more of a like...
So we were just born there, and then we lived in Richfield, New Jersey until we were 6 years old.
Okay.
And then we moved to Houston, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, been here ever since. I always loved the kitchen. I always loved food. I always loved being around my yaya, my mama, my aunts, my uncles, around the grill. So for me, it was always something that it was ingrained in my heart and my mind. So ever since I was a little kid, when they ask you, what do you want to do in your life? I always said I wanted to own my own restaurant. Like on the yearbook and stuff like that, I would put that. And it was always my dream. So, yeah, ever since I was a little kid, I've wanted to do what I do. My earliest food memory would have to be... Honestly, now, if you're going timeline, the worst one probably was, I remember the earliest food memory was me at my mama's house when I was like 4 years old. She made like a broccoli cheddar soup or some shit like that. And I took like 2 bites and I fucking threw up everywhere.
Oh, no.
So I would say that's the earliest memory, which is not romanticizing what I do, but ultimately that's the earliest memory. But the early memories that are good ones, not throwing up broccoli cheddar soup, is probably picking like tomatoes from my papu's garden. Even though he lived in Queens, New York, in a townhome, he had a big garden. And every day we would go to the back and we would go outside and pick up tomates, anguria, and just pick those up. And I would eat them raw. And even as a little kid, I would love it. So I would say the fondest memories, early memories, are those of with my papu and my yaya back in the garden and cooking with it. Yeah.
Do you eat broccoli cheddar soup now?
No.
Really?
I've never ate it since.
Really?
Never. I'm never going to eat that shit. I don't know. I don't even eat broccoli, to be honest. But, broccoli's fine, but no, I don't mess with broccoli cheddar soup. So, Paula Deen, you can keep your bread bowl, baby. I'm not going to eat that shit. So,
do you know if it was a texture thing or?
I have no idea. I just remember it looked nuke green. It was not good.
It was green. The soup is usually orange.
Yeah, it was green, from what I remember. But yeah, I remember vividly that memory throwing up. I was like 3 years old. I don't know how old I was, but yeah. Apparently, there's more memories of me doing crazy stuff when I was a little kid. There was definitely people in my life that influenced me to go towards my career path. So, number one influences were my family. My yaya, strictly my yaya. Well, no, I would say definitely in terms of my family. In terms of family, that's definitely my number one influences. So my yaya, my mama, my papu. Definitely both my papus were very influential in terms of, hey, you love something, work hard at it, and do your best. And if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
So, definitely, all my family were hugely influential. And then as I grew in my career, certain people that I worked side by side with, certain managers that I had previously, my chefs that I worked with in school, and there were huge influences in my life, but I wouldn't say there was like one specific person. When it comes down to restaurant management or working in hospitality in general, there's a lot of different routes you can take. For me, I started working, my first ever job was at Potbelly Sandwich Shop. I was a deli assistant. And I was the one in charge of putting the toppings on the sandwich after it went through the oven. So, you start at those type of simple roles like a busser, dishwasher, line cook. No, not even line cook. You don't even start there. Line cook's kind of high up there. But, you start in these hourly positions, whether that's a place like a sandwich shop or a restaurant or McDonald's even. You start at these smaller restaurants. And then through my career, I just grew in terms of different levels. So, I went from a deli assistant to a line cook and then to a cashier and then I became a server and then I became a bartender and then I became an assistant manager and then I became a real restaurant manager and now I work in a huge restaurant as a restaurant manager, kitchen manager, etc. So, throughout this time, no matter what progress you take or what route you take in hospitality, you generally have a career path like that. You start in some type of hourly position, you work at a more advanced hourly position, supervisor, and then, managerial role. So the next role for me would be the general manager role or some type of role in corporate in some level. So when it comes down to general manager, you are the number one in terms of that specific restaurant. So it obviously depends on what company you work for. Currently I work with Papa's Restaurant Group and I love it and I hope I'm there forever. But that being said, with us specifically, after you get to a general manager position, the people above the general manager are going to be considered our concept leaders. So our concept leaders are in charge of our concept, which is Papadopoulos, and then typically they're in charge of 4 different stores, or it just depends on the singular person. But typically you're in charge of the general managers and their boss, but you're also in charge of the concept too. So as you grow within the companies, that's typically how it goes. There's some type of area leader or some type of something like that that's in control of different locations and, more in control of, like what's going on the menu, managerial decisions, and things like that. I think for me, it all depends on the person, first of all, those challenges, because there's many different challenges. You having to deal with a big staff, having to deal with people, guests, schedules, things like that. It's difficult sometimes. But I would say the number one thing for me that I sometimes struggle with is, managing my time. Managing my time correctly. And a lot of the times you've got so many different things that you got to do that you have to be disciplined within your own time. There's the ice machine.
Oh, it was like, the heck?
Yeah, no, but you have to be disciplined in your time and disciplined in how you allocate your time to be, one, most successful in running your shifts, but also so you can get the job done. Because there's a lot of different jobs that you have to get done. And I would say definitely that's my number one thing I always try to work on is how can I get more done within the certain amount of time I'm at the restaurant. Not trying to be at the restaurant longer than I need to be. Utilizing every moment to do something productive.
Yeah, I feel like that could be tough.
It's very tough.
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of distractions. There can be something with the food. There can be something with the guests. There can be something where you're training somebody and, you want to focus on something. Or you're a person. You get distracted. You have somebody call you. You have somebody talk to you. After work you have something going on. Yeah. There can always be something, ulterior things that are, happening outside of the workplace. Because you are a human. Right. You are dealing with, your own things. I'm a 26-year-old guy. I've got friends, I've got family, I've got things I'm doing as well. So, it's something that those things also, play a factor. Well, at the restaurant, I'm typically at the restaurant like 50 hours a week. Okay. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little less. But generally the average is 50, which, for a restaurant manager is honestly not bad. I've worked in certain situations where I was closer to the 60 mark, and during COVID, I was like 65, 70. So, but, when it comes down to it, that's typically the standard is 50 hours. And yeah, you don't want to spend more, obviously, because you are a salaried position and, we get taken care of, but ultimately, like, you need to have that work-life balance. Because if you're at the restaurant, I've done it before, you're at the restaurant 70 hours a week, 30 of those hours, 20 of those hours, you're not being productive. You're like a zombie. Yeah. And, you're not, leading your team in the best possible way. Because whenever you work those 14-hour shifts, it's hard. In the last 4 hours, I will tell you, you are like struggling. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care how, seasoned you are and everything like that. It's tough. Yeah. But, we all do it. And we all have to do it. And it's kind of a thing where you just run on coffee and energy drinks. And you're just like,
I gotta do it.
Yeah, especially with Papas. I mean, Papas, we work hard. And, we really do work hard. But we take care of our employees and we take care of our staff and ultimately in the restaurant business, like, it's a different type of business. So we don't have the luxury of being able to do certain things in other industries, like other industries. But they really do a good job of making sure that we have that balance. I was lucky enough to have worked for some great companies.
Yeah.
So for me, it was something that it wasn't like a huge transition. Working for Papas, we have high standards. We take pride in our quality service, in our quality food, and we just in superior everything. And we do everything in house, and really, it's a great restaurant to work for. But that being said, if you're used to tembeldes and not cleaning and not doing this and not doing that, it can be tough. Yeah. And we're very strict in terms of menu knowledge and things like that. But for me, I was working in restaurants that were similar in that aspect. So for me, it wasn't a hard transition.
No. Which is good.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely good.
And ultimately, if you love what you do, you're gonna learn things easily.
Yeah.
I brought a menu home. I was looking at the menu and I was at home and looking at the business and learning the business. Because I want to. I take pride in what I do. So, I mean, if you don't, it's going to be really hard.
Do you feel like your degree helped you with these positions as well?
That is a tough answer. Tough question to answer. Because in many ways, I think no. But in some ways, I think yes. I would say, does me having a hospitality degree, does that ultimately make me a better manager than other managers? No. I'm just going to be honest. In terms of me having a hospitality degree from a prestigious university, a prestigious program, believe me, some of the kids I worked with side by side in the restaurant, in the restaurant management program, didn't know shit. I would not want to work side by side with them. They were fucking lazy, crybabies, pussies. Straight up. But I worked with a lot of people that taught me a lot of things in college. I worked with some badass students, some badass teachers, chefs, and it really taught me a lot. And it really propelled me into understanding, like, okay, I need to work hard. I need to do this. I need to do that. I got humbled a lot in school. So for me, it taught me a lot of core lessons. So I'm extremely grateful for my time. But will I say having a restaurant management degree makes you so much better or makes you so much more prepared? I don't think so. I think it's a matter of what you do in college. Yeah. Like what do you do in college to help you grow? And luckily I did a lot. I really worked hard. I really tried to be as involved as possible. And ultimately I got results out of that. Yeah. But if you're not doing that, you're not really going to get that many results. It didn't make sense. We had so many kids that never worked in a restaurant, never worked in a hotel in their life, and they decided to go into this degree. Didn't fucking make any sense to me. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. It didn't make sense, but 100%, it's a matter of what you do in college. Like, how do you work? What do you get involved in to better yourself? Because the paper doesn't mean anything. Right. It's just a piece of paper. I mean, with AI and everything, somebody could fucking make that easy. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. It means, like, what you take from it. And ultimately, that's the same with work. Yeah. I mean, whatever you take from something that can get you better, that's what all that matters.
It's true. What advice would you give to somebody who may be interested in becoming what you are and work their way and do this whole sort of thing? Do you have any advice to somebody?
Well, I would say it matters on what stage you are in your career. If you're some kid that loves cooking and has a passion for it and watches videos and this, that, and the other, I would say get a first job. Go work in a restaurant. See if you like it.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun. Work in a busy restaurant. Work in a busy restaurant that you can learn, you can develop, they can train you, they can develop you.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that's number one for a young kid. You really like it, be involved. If you go to school, say you want to go to culinary school, go to culinary school, but be involved. You want to go to restaurant management school, be involved. You don't want to go to school at all, great. Go work in the best restaurants possible.
Yeah.
I would say definitely that's the case. And if you're already in culinary school, you're already in restaurant management school, you're already working in restaurants, then realize, is this something that I love? Is this something that I have fun with? Because don't get me wrong, I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
There are multiple days that I'm like, question myself. I'm a human.
Mm-hmm. I'm
going to question myself. I'm going to be like, oh my God, I went to college for this, and sometimes that happens, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. Sometimes somebody calls out and I have to work a position, or I have to, clean. I have to be a dishwasher for a little bit. I have to be a line cook for a little bit. That's part of the job.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I can 100% say when I go to work, I have fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm able to enjoy myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is something that's what someone feels, and they feel great and they have fun, then don't think about the money. Don't think about other people. Think, I like what I'm doing, I'm good at what I do, you're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And just trust the process. That's all you have to do.
How do you envision the future of the restaurant industry, and how are you potentially ready to adapt to whatever those changes may be?
Well, I would say, definitely throughout my time as a restaurant manager has been very, very different changes. When I started, it was before COVID, and then I was 2 years in, and then COVID happened, and a lot of changes. Curbside, to go, DoorDash, this, then the other, online ordering, all these different things. And, slowly you get accustomed to it. So I would say there's always going to be trends. There's always going to be things that you need to adapt in the business. But when it comes down to it, it's something that, I think there's going to be changes. There's going to be things that I have no idea that are even going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of touched on it earlier, like AI, for instance, artificial intelligence. That it's being so sophisticated now that it can write papers for you or write scripts for you and do all these things. So who knows? Maybe it writes recipes for us. Maybe it writes training materials. Maybe it does this. Maybe it does that. I have no idea how that's going to affect us in the future. But what I do know is whenever it comes down to the core fundamentals of a restaurant, of creating good food and creating an environment where people can come in, enjoy themselves, and forget about their lives for a second and just rest. It's part of the word, restaurant, where you can rest and just enjoy yourself. That is always going to be fundamentally there for a restaurant. So there's going to be some soulless activity happening, I believe, when it comes down to restaurants and ghost kitchens and different things like that are already happening right now. And I believe will get bigger in the future. But whenever it comes down to it, you just believe in what you do. And if you fundamentally have a great vision and you have a great business, people will always come. But you have to adapt. You can't be stuck in your ways. A lot of ways, adapt or die, but never lose sight of who you are. Never lose sight of why you have your restaurant, what's your menu, what's your purpose.
I love it. That's a great note.
Mic drop. But
well, thank you for our little conversation today. Where can the people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Chef Papadopoulos.
Okay.
I have a YouTube channel that I never post to, but maybe we're gonna make a comeback. I don't know, maybe.
AI,
there we go. No, but yeah, you can find me at Chef Papadopoulos on Instagram, on YouTube, and My name's Christos Papadopoulos, so hopefully one day you can just Google that and find me, but we'll see. But either way, appreciate you, Nicolette, and I hope people got to learn something today.
Likewise, I think they will. You had a lot of good talking points.
Thank you very much.
Huh?
Bye.
Peace out. Oh